Hey, so listen, I am a current police officer. I can't tell you what department I work at,
Oh, well,
but
thank you for your service, friend.
thank you. So I remember you were talking about the guys on probation and parole, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just saying that as simple as someone getting a vehicle accident, they make contact with an officer that's violating parole. I know people in the past, officers that would target guys that on parole, just try to talk to them just so that they can get them in trouble.
Chad,
All right, Chad from Chad's Fencing. All right. How are you doing this morning, Chad?
I'm doing all right, man. I think a lot of people are underestimating the probation. People don't realize how
Really?
hard it is to do probation.
Talk
So
about
I
it.
feel like, that many years on probation, I think the state, this is what they do. They always give people these plea deals with large amounts of probation because they know the odds of that person getting a violation of probation eventually and coming right back to prison. So
Yeah.
I just don't think it's in the benefit for him to have taken that plea deal. I think that the defense has been doing a great job. I think that they have a really good chance of winning this. And I just don't think that was a good plea deal. And it makes the defense look bad. What are the jurors going to think? When they see that somebody, are they, a question I would like to get answered is, are they going to know that somebody pled out, or are they just going to think that somebody just disappeared?
That's true. That's a great point. I think they would. Hold on a second. That would be addressed at some point, especially if Mr. Nichols comes back to testify. Obviously, they would have to bring up the plea deal. So the jury is going to know, and they're going to see this if they decide to bring him back. I don't see it being mentioned at any other point. Maybe one of the attorneys in the chat could let me know. Kel Bell is in here as well. But yeah, I don't see the need for the state to bring that up unless they call Mr. Nichols to testify, which would be interesting in itself.
Yeah, for sure. I just, I just don't see I understand he was facing some serious charges, and to him, he'll be out, relatively soon, eligible for parole after 40 months. I was watching another YouTube channel, and they did the math on about how long he will be incarcerated before he's eligible to be released. And it wasn't that long. So, I get that everybody wants to go home, but let's look at, his background. Let's look at where he lives, who he associates himself with, and then let's think about, is he going to be able to successfully complete how many years? I think it was like 15 or 13 years of probation.
It's a lot.
That the odds of that is
13
slim
years is
to
crazy.
none. You're going to get some type of violation at some point for something petty or something serious, depending on how good he is. And it's going to send him right back in front of a judge, and he'll be right back in prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think that they all should have stuck together, obviously, and just rode this out until the very end, because I think that they're doing a good job. And I believe as the trial goes on, the defense is doing better and better because the state is doing worse and worse.
Yeah, and I think my question for you would be, Chad, and I'll final question, and I'll let you give your last thoughts, is what do you want to take a chance on? Do you want to take the chance on the jury giving you a not guilty verdict, or do you want to take a chance on yourself being able to stay out of trouble? And that's really, I think, what Mr. Nichols was looking at. I don't know. In your case, you might think, man, it might be better for me to take my chances on the jury. But if you could say, no, I got this, that's going to be tough to put that in somebody else's hands.
So I would say this. I've been there, done it. I think it's impossible. I don't think that any person, no matter how good you are, can successfully complete 13 years of probation. The only reason I say that is because I've been through the system as a juvenile, and I was, what would be considered a straight A student on probation. Like, I did everything right. Mm-hmm. Every time I would report in, every time they would, bring me in for whether it be a drug testing or monthly reporting or whatever the case, "Oh, you're doing amazing. You're doing amazing." My probation officer, would always say, "I wish I had everybody who was like you. You're doing everything right." And then you get caught up in just a simple little traffic violation or a citation, or you miss an appointment simply because it's been 4.5 years. You completely, spaced out that every month you have to be there at 2 p.m., something little. And then they put me on a technical violation. And then I go in front of a judge, and because we have a system that is set up to not really help anybody, the judge had no care in the world. The state basically was like, he had a technical violation, and they put me back in jail. I had to wait. I couldn't bond out because it was a violation of probation in the state of Florida.
Oh my gosh.
I sat there, and I ended up doing like 4.5 months in jail on something that was so petty that I was being made fun of by other people in the jail. They were like, "What are you in here? What are you in here for?" And I'm like, "I sold a used car without a dealer's license on Facebook Marketplace." And everybody thought I was lying. They thought, "There's no way." And I'm like, "Yeah, you sell a car, technically you're supposed to have a dealer's license." And I was arrested for it, and I was put on probation. I took the plea deal of probation, and it was my worst mistake. I should have never done that. I should have taken it to trial. But long story short, if you don't have the money for good lawyers, it's hard to say because I do understand where you're coming from. And in his eyes, he's putting all the chips on himself. He's gambling. Hey, I'm going to get out. I'm going to do the right thing. And I hope and pray that he does. I'm not trying to say that, hey, it's a guarantee. I just think that it's not probable. It's hard to do that much time on probation. You really have to change your entire way of life.
Yeah, you just got to stay in the house, it seems like, Chad.
Exactly.
That's the only way to win. All right, brother. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you for the insight as well. You can call in anytime, man.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm going to be watching you all day as long as you're live.
All right. Thank you so much, Chad. Blessings to you. Take care.
All righty. You too. Bye.
Woo. Yeah. Chad just gave you a real life story of how probation is just an entire trap. And we saw it here in this disposition. Everything is up to the community supervision officer or you're screwed. He said he sold a car without a license. Come on, man. It's sad. Okay, we've got 702 in here and then 908. I know you were calling. I'll give you a call back.
Call from
Mark H10.
Oh, yeah, we got Mark in here. Mark, good morning, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? I just turned it off.
Oh, good. I appreciate you calling in. Go ahead. I'm going to let you have the floor. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so is the show still on then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's what happened for myself. I got hit from behind by a cop and I got railroaded into something, and I didn't have an attorney who wanted me to win my case. He wanted this case so he can use the gave you to the prosecution when he's negotiating later. So I got 10 years probation. He really sold me hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
I absconded 2 in a row for a year because I had a horrific officer. And my judge, who was literally called by his own bailiffs the 330 worst in Austin, Texas, the 331st District Court, Judge Perkins, the 330 worst.
Mm-hmm.
He did not put me in prison. So it's very much up to who you face.
Wow.
The prosecution's going to take the part of the agent, but I had some great officers. Unfortunately, I had one that was so lax, she got fired and had told me that we had an open, come see her whenever. And she never said anything distinct about my next appointment. Well, I got assigned the asshole she was. And the next thing I know, I'm the big bad person because I didn't show up on the 14th at 2:00 when I didn't even have any idea that was an appointment.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Mark, when it came to, and you don't have to get into the specifics of your case, but when it came to your lawyer? You had a public offender or public offender?
No.
Jeez, they probably should call him something that public defender, or you had someone who you?
No, I did not. I had a pro.
So what was the conversation like when they were talking about the probation? Because I don't think we get to hear that as much, especially going back and looking at Monktook and Derek Wright's situation. Like, I want to hear that side from you. And what did that look like?
Okay. Now, now from what I've said a few times, I have a little understanding and I've studied a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was a total neophyte. I got hit from behind by a cop. I thought the system was fair. I thought, black men were inordinately dangerous, and other minorities, and the bad white people were using drugs and killing people and rapists, and that's why everybody was, because they were. I didn't realize that this thing will run you the F over, but it will.
Mm-hmm.
They will just destroy a person. They don't care in a minute.
So it was more. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was going to say my professional, like I said, dealt me off as a conviction so he could use later. And he was one of these big guys here. He was certified for federal as well as criminal defense as well as state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it really is. It's a tough slog. But if you do get a break, and that's why I say we've got to pray for this man, for Quay, and for the rest of them. Because if any of them also take a plea or have convictions, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, that probation, man.
I really don't want to. Yeah, I saw that interview with him. That journalist is true. He does not pull that crap. That guy, he's been here to Vegas. He's a pro. He travels the nation. He's not just I think he's based in Atlanta, but he's not just an Atlanta journalist.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time, too. It seems like someone was trying to get him caught up.
No. I think that they thought it wouldn't be a deal. The officers, that they could take this picture. Because what it was Mariah, the scientist's birthday. That's why that's why they set it up. She had she had the hoodie, sent it in. They allowed it in. That was their violation again, right? Security.
Yeah.
Because just think, she's soaked something in the pocket. He could take a nice, tug on something. You know what I mean? Acid or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
They violated security.
Mm-hmm.
They said, take the picture now, put it on him. He took the picture real quick. And as he says constantly, he thought that if they said it's good. And that it's not going to come up. But then the judge got some backlash because it went to TMZ and it went viral. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, that's what Mr. Byron was saying in the clip. He's like, yeah, get this and send it to TMZ. So I wonder if he got it and got him a little bit of cash on the side too. But
yeah, he did. He said that in the interview. He licensed it out to not just TMZ, but everybody.
Yeah. All right. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but I think he
didn't make any video though. He's not a video guy.
I'm sure we're going to hear more information about that because it seems like he's not done fighting for this. So maybe he'll get back into the court and still be able to do what he wants to do. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of stinks for him because it seems like he carried himself pretty professionally. I'll agree with you there. But yeah,
and we're in a tough spot now because now she's restricted it down to one person has one camera.
Yeah, it's Law and Crime, and I think 11 Alive, and maybe Fox 5. So I think there might be.
I'm hoping it's more than one, but he said it would have been restricted down to one. So I don't know. I want to keep that one alive. If we're down to 2 or 3, we're okay. But no.
Yeah, I believe there's still. I think 11 Alive, and actually also Atlanta News First might be in there too. So there's a few of them, but we're not going any man. If I need to get down there and get a Rule 22, I'll do it just to keep this going. But thanks for calling in, Mark. I appreciate your insight, brother.
Sure.
All right, you can call in anytime.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
This Tory, Toray. Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, Tory. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just checking out the show. I love the content, and I just want to reply. to some of the things.
Okay, go ahead. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. Well, for one reason, I was born and raised in Atlanta, and I also was caught up in the Fulton County court system as well, as far as where the DA just at the end of the day wanted to make sure that their job was completed. They don't care anything about anybody's livelihood or, you know, kids or whatever they have in their future. They, you know, the DA is just there to win a case and just going about a lot of hearsay at the end of the day and not having factual evidence, and where people could still get railroaded, you know, just by, I forgot what my lawyer had called it, insignificant. He had a whole story at my trial. I did 2 jury trials of actually murder on something I didn't do. And somebody just came in and say, hey, I seen this guy there, and they came up with a case after that. So, you know, just wanted to reply to a lot of things, because I know exactly what Thug is going through. You know, a lot of his rights and stuff is being violated, as well as the other guys. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to chime in on.
All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Mr. Torrey, and thank you for sharing that insight as well. The system is definitely tough. And there's a lot of work we got to do on our side too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. Yes, sir. It is. So there's a lot of things that I try to implement. So I don't stay in Atlanta anymore. I'm up in D.C. So a lot of these things that I've been through in the court system, and a lot of things that I have been through in D.C., I try to get out here and make sure that my motivational speaking is very motivated. You know what I mean? Especially to the young guys. So I try to put it in the work. You know, I'm just one person alone, you know, doing the best I can on, you know, as far as just shedding a light on the younger crowds, and to know that any one of us could be in these positions as Young Thug in any day, you know, regardless if you did it or not, you know. So yes, I try to put it in my due diligent work as far as me being a young guy and you know, making it best for everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you be blessed, Mr. Torrey. You can call at any time, man. And I'm glad you're back on this side with us. For sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let me see if I can get, where is it? Where is 908 in here? 908's tried to call in a few times, and I missed them. Hey, good morning. This is ClassE Beats from the Music Morning Show. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Tracy from New Jersey.
Hey, Tracy from New Jersey. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind this morning, Tracy?
I was just calling in about the poll. The question was it a win for the prosecution, right?
Yes.
I think that because they have a guilty verdict at the end of the day, and
right.
That's all that they were looking for. Although it's not the counts that they want, it's still a guilty verdict. And like the guy said before, it's 13 years on probation. The chance is slim to none to complete it without no infractions. And then once you get that one infraction, being the situation, who knows how they would handle that sentencing at that point, because at that point they could do what they want. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I feel like they give them the probation with the hopes of slipping up, and as soon as that one slip up, no matter how big or small, they're going to max them out for the most part. Yeah, that's what I think about it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. And you can call in anytime as well. I appreciate you.
All right, I am a subscriber, and I wish you the best of luck, and I love your channel.
Thank you. Be safe out there in New Jersey.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello.
There she is. The awesome, amazing Amy is on the phone. We got to make this a regular thing, you know. I'm trying to tell you, the people want to hear you, Amy. Good morning, though. Good morning.
Well, I was just going back to what she was saying. I think it was Tracy that called in and said that she think it was a win for the state based on the poll that you did. And
yeah,
I honestly think that in a way it does give the state a little leverage because, as we know, there was absolutely really no evidence of the Rico. So I think that them just getting him to basically plead guilty for a Rico charge is a win. And obviously, you know, to me, it's a kind of a win for Fannie. But on the other hand, if you really break it down, he did not get a bad deal, though. If you really, considering he had a murder charge hanging over his head, he truly, you know, I think that in the end it really works in his favor because think about it. If he gets out early because of good behavior and time served, he might be out in 2025, to be honest. And,
wow.
And this is pretty much, this is what China was saying in her interview as well, is that there's a possibility he could get out in 2025. And I think that people are forgetting that he was able to get, you know, he had a body head basically hanging over him, and they took that, removed that, and he just basically gonna walk away, you know, and pay. I mean, even though he has to, you know, face probation, and he's gonna have to be really careful with that when he gets out, still the results in the end, had he been found guilty, would have been far worse. So honestly, he walked away without switching. So I mean, he didn't have to snitch, and there was no, I don't know. I kind of feel torn about this, but I feel like at the same time, he didn't take any special, meaning like he's not going to be, he doesn't have to testify. Like they offered him to walk away free, and he chose not to because he didn't want to snitch, or or maybe there really was nothing there that he knew, and he didn't want to make anything complicated. So I feel like at the same time, you know, I think he really acted in the best interest of himself, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He definitely, I can't see him getting a better deal than this. I mean, them dropping a murder charge, that to me right there says they only had one goal, and it wasn't to convict Mr. Nichols. It's to get this Rico, period. Like, end of story.
Yeah, the fact that, and the fact that they dropped an entire murder charge, I don't know if you guys understand how in the criminal, like, I don't understand people realize how big that is. Like, to drop a murder charge, you know, is a huge deal. Like, they didn't even get him to, you know, agree to something even way less. It's just they removed it completely. And to me, them dropping the murder charge proves the point that they had no case. And that's where I think that the state is doing them an injustice, because they're basically proving what everyone has been saying this whole time, that they don't have enough, they don't have a case, they don't have enough, really. They just want to put enough suspicion in people's mind and their theory that there is this and there's that. But I have not seen really any proof yet, and I feel, and you know, I might get some lashing out for this, but I truly believe that they gave the person that either committed the murder or knows who did complete immunity. So for me, it's like, I feel like the state knows, you know, the state. Yeah. So I don't want to go down that trail, but I just think that in a way it's kind of probably, maybe they leveled the field, you know. I don't think it was a complete win for the state, but I also don't think it was a loss for them. I think that at least they got a Rico, and like the other caller said, at least Fannie got a Rico charge. And at the end of the day, they just wanted someone to send down and get a Department of Correction number under a Rico charge. And, you know, it kind of cleans up their sloppiness in a way, you know, because they finally got someone to admit guilt for something, even if it was a lesser charge, you know.
Yeah, and you were mentioning something to me earlier about the probation. Now, he's got a balance of 13 years he's going to have to serve on probation. But you said there's something in Georgia law where he might not even have to do all 13 of those years. Is that right?
That's correct. So in Georgia, Georgia has something that's a 3-year successful probation early termination clause, and with no mess ups, meaning that if he has no mess ups in the last 24 months, so this is also applying to the time that he's already been serving. If he has no mess ups, they can go back to that and backdate it. But basically, if there's no mess ups, he can actually get out early, and the remaining of his probation be terminated in 3 years. If he does all the things, jump through all the hoops that they want, and if he gets out, he's doing everything, and then he wants to pay off the rest of his restitution up front, he can absolutely end his probation earlier. And you have to be eligible for it, obviously, but again, that's based on all the things that he's going to do and the recommendation of, the officer his probation officer that he works with, etc. But if he doesn't mess up and, stuff, then he has a good chance. But like you said earlier, he put it all himself. Like, he's banking that he's going to get out and he's going to cross his T's and dot his I's, and he's going to do everything he's supposed to do. But the only sad part of that is I've seen way too many cases where people get on probation and, something happens. And I know this sounds silly, but this has literally happened before in a case where somebody was doing everything they were supposed to do, and the guy had a habit of eating poppy muffins for breakfast. And when he did a drug test, he got in trouble because it looked like he had some substance in his system. So I'm just saying, like, something silly as that. And of course they had to, deal with that. But it's like, I just think that he's going to have a hard time, in some areas, not being around certain people, or, just because, there's going to be people that have, charges and, convictions, and I'm sure people in his family, and there's just going to be a lot of things that he's not going to be able to do. And the fact that he can't leave Georgia, that's crazy. For as long as he's on probation. But again, once he gets off of it, then that'll be different. And like I said, he might be eligible for that, and with good behavior, and I wish him all the best. But honestly, I don't really think it's a loss for him. I hate that he had to plead guilty to anything, especially if there was not, a true Rico thing going on. And I hate that empowered a little bit of the state. But I think the state has done such a sloppy job, and, with this whole case, that I think people can see through it. And I hope that, for Doug's sake, I hope if he gets a deal, and I hope he doesn't take one, to be honest, because I would love nothing more than him to just be found not guilty on everything and walk out of there. But if he feels like, for whatever reason, he has to take it, I hope that he does not, admit to something that he truly was not involved in. And from my analysis of the situation, I truly believe that, Doug probably was just more in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just because he was so generous with helping his friends, and just because, I'm not going to say they're looking at it as him, funding all this stuff, but I think it was just the person he was, just, supporting his friends and providing money and stuff like that. I don't think he was the one that was, knowingly trying to do it so they could do some dirty work with it. And I just think the state has kind of just went on a far reach with that, because again, they have not been able to prove any evidence of that, so. I
agree. Yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think too, like Fanny, the other caller was talking about with Fanny, it makes me wonder, like, how this will pan out for her, because imagine that this guy takes a plea, and then she'll have her case coming up in the future about her fraudulent stuff. And I wonder what kind of appeals and things can happen if she's found guilty on the things that she was involved in.
That would be wild. Can you imagine the DA being, chastised or held accountable while she's trying this, the longest, biggest case in Georgia history. And she's already speaking out of both sides of her mouth. We saw she's talking about Courtney Kramer was inexperienced. and then she hired her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, who had no experience at all, to be the special prosecutor. So yeah, Fannie, she's definitely going to come under fire there too. So it'll be interesting to see how that not only impacts the election, but this YSL trial too. That's a great point.
Yeah, I was curious if you thought, like, in even the chat, like, do you guys think that, you know, the DA's office or Fannie, you think that they were pushing because of that mess up with them saying, you know, free Quay and all the other things that they were saying? Like, do you guys think that some of this is being done, you know, because the election is right around the corner? Or do you guys truly just believe that they realized that they were losing so bad that this was just a move that they wanted to make? I'm curious because I think that I definitely think that this is probably a little bit of both, that, you know, she wanted to try to get a one up before re-election, to be honest.
Yeah. And I mean, I think anything she does at this point that she can even somewhat shine a light on, or shine a favorable light on, is going to help her. But let's be real. And I know we've talked about this too. Fannie's not going anywhere. Courtney Kramer, I voted for her, and I hope she gets in there just because I think we need some change. And there's just been so much blatant corruption that I don't want Fannie in there. But yeah, I mean, Fannie, it's going to be tough for Courtney to beat her at the end. But I think anything that Fannie does, if she could say, you know, oh, I got a Rico charge and we're still working on gang activity, just like I said, is going to benefit her.
Yeah, it is quite a mess, but I think that the state, I think the state just has done a terrible job. That I think, you know, any type of small win in this aspect for the guilty is probably feeding Fannie's ego, but it'll be curious how it all pans out. But I do believe, though, that considering everything, I definitely going to say that I believe that he did get a good deal at the end of the day, even though I hate that he had to plead guilty at all. So
yeah,
that was pretty much
all right.
My thoughts on it.
Hey, 660, this is ClassE from the Music Morning Show. How are you?
I'm doing good, my brother.
Good. Who am I speaking with?
My name's Davin McKinney.
Davin's in the building. All right, Davin, what's on your mind?
Hey, so listen, I am a current police officer. I can't tell you what department I work at.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, friend.
Thank you. So I remember you were talking about the guys on probation and parole. And I was just saying that, you know, as simple as someone getting a vehicle accident, they make contact with an officer, that's violating parole. I know people in the past, officers that would target guys that on parole, just try to talk to them just so that they can get them in trouble. So I think that, you know, that guy's taking that parole. Don't
say that, man. Dang.
I'm sorry. I can't tell you. No, I'm just saying, though, in general.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad to say, but it is what it is, you know. And I think that by him taking that parole, 13 years, you know, stats, you know, it's hard for him to come out clean.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
he's gonna get in contact with an officer. Let's say, for example, if he could be any conversation and stuff like that, they got to run his number. Guess what? They got to report to the probation and parole, and that right there is just good enough to violate his parole or probation.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If a police officer walks up to you or they pull you over or something, and you know you're having a conversation, I mean, somebody who's on probation, you're already going to be careful as much as you can, right? You don't want to get in trouble for maybe resisting arrest or, you know, being difficult during there's so many things that could go wrong just from you saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing.
Well,
that's got to be a skill.
Let's say, for example, if I come in contact with you, whatever, for a simple tail light out, right? So when I run your information, I got to send a response back to the probation parole. Like I can say cooperative vehicle infraction, whatever. That simple as that, you still violating your probation parole.
Dang, man.
So that's what I'm talking about. So that it's just that simple. So you're gonna have to live a clean life, you know, and that's kind of hard. I'm an officer, and I still try to, I live my life through a glass, glass, like a glass window, and
Yeah.
I still come in contact with officers and stuff like that, so.
Yeah,
And I feel
that's
like for
true.
Thug, and I think that the stuff they're using for Thug is not enough, but I think finally she opened her mouth and she put all that stuff out in the media about him. She can't go back now.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is probably going to get as good as it gets. And do you think, I mean, from your experience, do you think they'll probably try and get more of these done before we get closer to the end, just so they can focus on Thug? Or
I think
what do you think the play?
If they get some of this stuff done, and let's say, for example, if they got to do a mistrial without prejudice or whatever the case may be, and they got to retry them again, well, it might take a little bit of time for to get the people to for the case, but there ain't that much evidence or ain't that much people that have to go through to try to get Thug.
That's true. Yeah, and so
that's what I think of.
They already got Woody to testify. They got Monk Tonk to testify. They got Quindarius Zachary to testify. So, I mean, yeah.
I think they did Monk Tonk wrong, but at the same time, he's a grown man. He complied to that consent. Yeah, so he knew what he was getting himself into. I think that if everyone would have stayed strong together, I think that'd be hard to prosecute all of them. But by that one guy just admitting that it's a Rico, it kind of looked bad, but it's a 50-50. But like you said, would you put your life in your life or your on the hands of the juror? And I just think that if Young Thug, he's not a convicted felon, so if he didn't do nothing, why do it? By the same time, if he get if he get in trouble, or if he get convicted, then he's gonna be set. He losing money. He's a multi-millionaire. By him not performing, by him not, making music right now, he actually losing money sitting in jail and prison. So I can see why, if Young Thug want to take a plea but get back out and still make money, because he probably paying a lot of money to his lawyer.
Oh, a lot of money for sure.
And I seen that his house up for sale too. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but he might be losing a lot of money. So he might want to take a plea and get out so that he can start making money again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, first of all, I appreciate all the work that you do, man, sacrificing every day, Dav, and keeping the streets safe. Thank you for calling in, man. You could call in any time because I always love to hear the perspective from the professionals, and stay safe out there, man.
Well, thank you, man. You know what, man? I was listening to your show earlier today, man, and I could have made an arrest, man. I just thought, like, you know what? Let me listen to this good old fact every day, man.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, stay safe out there and take it easy. Be blessed, brother.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right, bye.